All right. Just be sure, because I know it was in a different tab, everyone can see the presentation, correct? Maybe Caitlin or someone just give me a green to make sure.
I can see it.
Okay, I just want to make sure because it was in a separate tab, so I just wanted to. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Christina Perez, and I am part of TDEC's Recovered Materials section within the Division of Solid Waste Management. For those that don't know me, I did start off in the Memphis field office as a hazardous waste inspector and then transitioned to recovered materials in April of last year. So while I am familiar with the hazardous waste APR process and hazardous waste inspections, today I'll actually be talking with you about the state of Tennessee's 25% waste reduction and diversion goal. Is the overview of today's presentation. I will start off with an introduction of who Recovered Materials is, talk about what the 25% waste reduction goal is. I'll very briefly dive into one of the hazardous waste regulations, and then I'll make our way to discuss your facility's sustainability efforts, if they are doing right now, or if not, if you're looking at doing anything, how to report your efforts to assist with the 25% waste reduction goal, and wrap it up with why your efforts and reporting is so important. So the Recovered Materials section oversees the recycling, waste reduction, and solid waste planning activities for the entire state of Tennessee. Also analyzes quantitative and qualitative data gathered from over 1,000 recycling reports of public and private sources, land reports, and over 500 collection and recycling facility reports towards achieving the 20% reduction and diversion goal. The Recovered Material team is comprised of 4 fantastic individuals that work across the entire state. So Trey White is our manager or commander, and under him, his subcommanders are Ashby Barnes, Bishop Wagner, and myself. So since we provide statewide technical assistance, we have divided all 95 counties amongst the 3 of us. So as you can see here, Barnes has Bishop has Northwest, and I am within the Southwest area. So, however, any of us can provide you assistance regardless of the territory. Be about the state's 25% waste reduction and diversion goal. Telling you about the 25% goal, we're going to have to go back in time to 1991 when Tennessee General Assembly passed the Solid Waste Management Act of 1991. Some of the major components of this act are planning, publication, recycle source reduction, data maintenance, to name a few. The Recycling and Source Reduction part of the Solid Waste Management Act, the state established a goal to reduce by 25% the amount based off of by weight on a per capita basis of solid waste disposed of at a municipal disposal facility. This was identifying whether a county has reached their 25% goal. The annual progress report was created. Hazardous waste APR that you have to fill out every year. The counties are required per regulation to submit their efforts to divert material from a Class 1 landfill. So Class 1 is where household waste, commercial, industrial, or institutional waste is sent to. For auditor's duty to review any plans and to collect data from 2 different sectors. So you have your residential sector, so your municipalities, and your institutional, commercial, and industrial. So for the remainder of the presentation, I'll be referring to them as ICIs, which for the most everyone on this call would be considered the ICI. Now, reading this regulation is not required for you, as you already have so much hazardous waste regulations to read. If you find yourself up in the middle of the night, as I am pretty much every night, and need some reading, they can be found via LexisNexis in Title 69 under Health, Safety, and Environmental Protection, Chapter 211 for Solid Waste Disposal, and Part 8, Solid Waste Management Act. From look for 861 for state waste reduction and goal, and 71 for annual reports. Also, to your hazardous waste APR, the core authors do have a deadline to get their information into TDEC, which is typically the end of March. When all the information is in, TDEC staff will then go through a QA/QC process for every line item for every county to identify any discrepancies from the previous years, such as missing entries, fluctuation in numbers, and so on. In Keene alone, there were over 1,400 reports across the state that staff reviewed. What the ICI report would look like. To make things easier for those reporting, TDEC staff has broken out each of the commodities based upon the different. This provides TDEC staff a better understanding of what is being recycled across the state and with current market trends. What we simply ask for is the weight of the commodity based off tons, pounds, gallons, or cubic yards. So say the commodity and broken out, see we have metals, but then list every type of metal. So steel, we have iron, aluminum, same thing with plastics. Because I know some facilities here might recycle plastics, but you might just recycling number 2 plastic. So this could be where you could report your information to the county and to the state of what it is you're recycling for that plastic. Now, based on information that TDEC receives from the APRs, we are able to compile the data and see how we, as a state, are doing. Just mentioned every year the county reports and how much is being diverted from the landfill, but also how much is being sent to the landfill itself. So for this presentation, I simply wanted to show you how much is still being disposed of in the landfills across the state. The data not capture information from the private haulers, meaning your Waste Pro, Republic, Services Waste Management, and so on, because they're not required to report in like the municipalities are. So this number here, this class for landfill, in different perspectives, let us all picture an elephant that you might have seen at a zoo, gone to Disney's Animal Kingdom, and that nature. So everything in their mind. So that elephant weighs 7 tons. 0.7 million tons is a lot. But so again, go back to the elephant reference. So to be equivalent to the amount disposed of the Class 1 landfill, it would be just over 1 million elephants to equal the sale of that was of a Class 1 landfill. So I don't know about you, but that is quite a bit of elephants. Now, for traditional recycling for the state's public programs. And by traditional, I'm referring to the curbside or drop-off programs that your municipality or county offers. So your single stream, but also with the plastic, paper, metal, glass. So similar to the previous slides data, this data does not capture information from the private. And also I'd like to point out that plastic might seem low, it actually, a lot of the plastic is captured in a single stream. If we want to go back to our elephant reference, so for plastic, it's just over 1,000 elephants. Paper, that would be over 16,000 elephants. Metal, over 8,000 elephants. Glass, almost 2,000. And in single stream is just shy of almost 9,000 elephants. while some are trying to give a visual reference, here's another visual reference for the data that was collected, material. It's just here's for 2018. So the paper includes all the different forms of paper, such as cardboard, office paper. Same can be said for the plastics and metal. We are able to see and you can see the different trends and visualize all the data that I had presented in the previous slide. Presentation of the recycling trends the recovered material staff has observed and noticed since 2011. These numbers, as they do encompass the commercial, industrial, and institutional numbers that were reported into the state. So, I guess some of you, the facilities that are part of the call today, this is where your numbers are combined with the residential, and we can notice some of the different trends from year to year across the state. Let's circle back to why the measurements matter. They improve solid waste planning by understanding the data that is provided by each county, and that better adapt and plan for future solid waste needs within their communities. It can allow TDEC staff to fulfill economic and community development requests specifically revolving around solid waste needs. An opportunity to provide technical assistance. In part, that happens when we take the data or an experience in one county, have the ability to apply it to another portion of the state. So if something were to happen in East Tennessee, and were to resolve it, we could, if something were to similar happen well in West Tennessee, we could take what we learned and then possibly apply it. The opportunity to fulfill legislative requests. At times, the legislators want to know what activities are going on in terms of recycling and diversion activities, and as well as general solid waste and materials management within the county or a portion of the state. Then there's public information requests. An example would be the resident is new to an area and they want to know how to properly dispose of something, but they don't know how to hold of their local municipality or county solid waste how to properly dispose it. We can assist them and provide them the most accurate information. Other things that we do with the data is draft and provide a report to the Governor and General Assembly that details all the activities, solid waste disposal and recycling activities that took place over the course of the year. That data is then used when the Governor or General Assembly are looking towards action or rules and to see what's going on around the state. And also, we provide this data on a national wide scale with the EPA National Measurement Program. So this U.S. as a whole can what Tennessee is doing with recycling and diversion activities, and allows us to compare and measure with other states, especially with those that are within our region and might have the same restrictions as we do. Basically, as I mentioned, dive into one of the hazardous waste regulations. Today would be your lucky day because I'm only going to reference the one hazardous waste regulation, and that is the hazardous waste reduction plan that count in Chapter 3 of our regulations. I honestly have to say this is my favorite hazardous waste regulation, simply because it requires you as an entity to take a step back and look at your operations from a different perspective and think, now, how can I make a change and reduce my environmental impact? Just very briefly touching on the content of this rule and highly recommend each of you to review this one, especially because it is a very short one. So this regulation, large and small quantity generators shall have 3 years from the date they first became a large or small quantity generator to complete their waste reduction plan. I give you, only large and small quantity hazardous waste generators are required to have a hazardous waste reduction plan. A few of the contents of the plan are to include your scope objectives. What you need to reduce and how do you plan on doing so based off current research and technology? What are the accounting systems you plan on using to identify waste management costs and factor in the liability, compliance, and oversight costs to the it's feasible? What awareness and training program will you have for your employees to engage them in this hazardous waste planning and implementation? I can say that having them on board from the beginning is key to ensuring that it will be done if you get buy-in. So per the regulation, this plan is to be reviewed annually by management and dated. With these annual reviews, regulations state to include an annual progress report to analyze and quantify any progress that has been made in this waste relative to each performance goal that you established. Also, the plan does need to be retained on site for not only when the inspector shows up, but also for your employees to have it at any time. I'm going to talk about sustainability efforts that could be implemented at your facility as well. So, during some of my inspections, I would notice that the hazardous waste reduction plan was sometimes not a standalone plan, but part of a solid, master solid waste minimization or reduction plan, and discuss additional waste streams. And would touch upon reduction, certification to equipment or technologies, modifications to processes or procedures. A plan would also talk about recycling and whether using or reusing a waste as a substitute for a commercial product. Of course, when writing these plans, one of the first things you need is management commitment. These plans must become a functioning part of your facility's operating procedures, including product development, operational procedures, and training. By engaging the high-level management with their commitment, it helps keep the waste reduction program in all areas of the company by committing time, personnel, and money. So, while a solid waste minimization reduction plan, some also had loftier goals and had it all lumped into a sustainability master plan, which is still possible. You can do your own plan if you want to do solid waste as its own. With this plan, it not only looks at the solid waste operations and opportunities, but also other environmental elements such as air, water, energy, transportation, and Sustainability Master Plan would discuss implementing an environmental purchasing policy. The aim of the environmental purchasing policy is to prompt staff involved in the procurement of goods and services to use environmentally responsible and incorporate human health as a factor within their purchasing decisions. So some items purchasing policy could be considered goods and services which can be manufactured, used, and disposed of in an environmentally responsible way. Their whole life costs and impacts when assessing equipment or purchases, which I know a lot of the facilities, that's something really to take into consideration when a machinery goes down and you need to purchase a new. What's the best means? And a lot of times you do have to go out to bid, so you always want the cheapest, but think about the long-term costs as well. So one thing I'd like to point out is both of these plans can be developed and implemented regardless of your generator status. So just because you're conditionally exempt small quantity generator for hazardous waste, and you don't have to follow hazardous waste reduction regulation doesn't mean that your facility doesn't generate a lot of solid waste. So it still implement such a plan to with your commitment and being a steward. Now, what is the process and how to report those efforts that I was talking about, reporting utilizing the ICI's reports? So really, who are you going to call? Maybe Ghostbusters, but they probably won't be able to assist you with this. So best thing is to reach out with the TDEC recovery materials staff. We can easily put you in contact with the appropriate county personnel that can get you started in reporting. After this presentation, if you happen to misplace our point of contact, it may not an issue. You can always access our team's information via TDEC's website. So you can just Google TDEC recovery materials, and it'll take you where we were the first page. So on Google, you could access it that way. The other thing, just keep in mind, now you're telling yourself, I want to help my county and my state, but our information is classified. It's proprietary information. It's okay. You are not alone. TDEC has a solution for that and can help you. So when choosing to, you can report anonymously. So when choose to report anonymously, those reports must be reported directly to the Division of Solid Waste Management staff per state law. We would information and input your entry as anonymous within the reporting system and separate and create a separate file, and all information is not solicited out. So when I say create a separate file, that's for internal use only. So it would be on database, on our files. The thing I'd like to point out is that the recovery material staff is not regulatory. We are here to assist and answer any questions you might have regarding material you are looking to cycle. Again, we're help. So to follow up on why your assistance in reporting is important. I know it's already mentioned, but let's go back here and talk about it again. So why, as we have solid waste, I mean, hazardous waste is pretty expensive as well, but solid waste in its own, solid waste management is pretty expensive based off of disposal costs. When that's their full-time job, it all adds up pretty quickly. So the 25% reduction in recycling goal are so vital to helping shape our triple bottom line, also known as people planet profit. The best half for this is to think of the triple bottom line as a three-legged stool. When all three legs are present, you have a pretty steady stool, right? But one of those legs are removed, your stool is now uneven and needs to be fixed. Now, with the assistance of recycling and diversion, it creates more of an economic impact versus disposal because it allows a circular economy to be created and fosters a more greener mindset. Therefore, society is more willing to look for the need from recyclable material versus a one-time disposal. So also, as I mentioned, the data we receive is eventually part of a nationwide survey. By sharing data with others, it allows us to not only see how we are doing against other states but provides us the opportunity to collaborate and assist one another with creating new rules and regulations, educational programs, potential markets, and so on. Your data is a vital insight into market movements stated. They're providing us with the ability to locate potential solutions and promote filling in the gaps. By real-time insight can allow us to help others in another part of the state or neighboring states when called upon. I'd like to provide the reduction information for you once again in case you needed a little extra time to jot down any of our information, and also just to thank you for your time today and the hazardous waste auditing team for allowing me to speak today. I do appreciate it, you guys. So,
thank you, Christina. We appreciate you.
stop.